Hello guys, Sue Jerry speaking. Welcome to LJPCBM episode number 1000 166, and today back into Purple Roads podcast episode number 89. Carl Nelson, BJ Barry from Barney and Friends. This is a Christmas episode, but Christmas already passed. Already done with. We had this begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
I'm Kerry Stinson, and my journey through life has been quite an adventure. For over 20 years, I've played Barney the Dinosaur on tour, and 7 seasons of the hugely popular TV show, Barney and Friends. Now my journey is to bring together friends and guests from all over the entertainment world for inspiring and at times amusing behind-the-scenes conversation. I'm Kerry Stinson, and this is Purple Roads.
Welcome to Purple Roads. My name is Kerry Stinson, and as you can see, we got a very special holiday episode. I was trying to think what would be fun to do this year. We did one with Santa last year from Radio City Music Hall, and that was so much fun, and I thought, I know what we need to do. So we're going to talk all about the Christmas episodes and Macy's Day Parade with my good friend, my bro, my pal, my boy, Kyle Nelson. Kyle played BJ for, I can't even count how many years, on tour and on Barney and Friends with me. And Kyle, how are you, my friend?
Wow.
I'm doing great, Kerry. This is awesome.
Man, this is going to be great. If you don't mind, this hat's going to drive me crazy here, so I'm going to take that off.
Wow.
But I had to start with it, right? I had to start with it. Man, how are you? You're looking good.
Thank you. Yeah, doing great. Just finished my first, well, not my first, but finished the semester of school, first semester, and just enjoying this Christmas break till we start back up in January, and just enjoying this holiday time with family and just getting ready to visit extended family over this Christmas break.
Well, I appreciate you taking your time out to do this. The fans always have questions. I thought, we've never done a show like this. You and I did a lot of stuff together over the holidays, from Christmas on the road to Macy's Day Parade to episodes of Barney and Friends. So we've done so much. So that's what we're going to focus on today. We're going to talk about all of that. So I thought this would be fun here because I know you got some stuff to show. I've got some stuff to show too. So I'm going to show you some pictures you probably haven't seen, or if not, it's been a moment. Because I'm going through my stuff. We go through these things, and I found this picture.
Wow.
Okay, so that looks familiar, right?
Busch Gardens.
I think it was Busch Gardens. Very good.
Wow.
And then this one.
Yep.
Wow. Wow.
Antoine and Casey.
That's right. And that was in. Remember where that was?
That, oh man.
I do remember where that one was.
Was that in Busch Gardens as well, or was
No, that was in Utah.
Utah? Okay.
That was in
Oh,
Utah.
up in Park City.
Yep. Up in Park
Okay.
City. That's exactly right. Looking fly as we always do.
Yeah.
And then, this is really how I know Kyle, and so I thought this is such an appropriate picture to show.
Oh yes.
Wow.
We really, really got to know each other on the road, and just so special. And that's where it started, so that's where I want to start with this. What do you remember? What was it like Christmas on the road? We did parties, and we were, we'd go home for Christmas, but we'd come back and New Year's out on tour. So what do you remember of that?
I'm just reflecting back on it. Those are really fond memories and experiences.
All right, so Christmas on the road was so much fun, Kyle. And you remember we used to do like Secret Santas and stuff like that. Do you remember who yours was?
Yes, my first Secret Santa was Barry Pearl, and he
Wow.
was quite the gift giver. He definitely did a great job of making sure I didn't know who my Secret Santa was up until the final gift, which he gave me a skateboard, which I greatly appreciated because I was an avid skateboarder at the time.
It's funny you say that. I'm pretty sure the first time I ever saw you, you walked onto the bus at the airport and you had a skateboard in your arms. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
when we first met and you came out, there was a skateboard with you in your backpack.
yeah, yeah. I was an avid skater at the time, but quickly realized that I had to refrain from my extreme skateboard tricks just out of the awareness that I needed to be on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Which, you know, it's interesting because that had to have been tough for you. I can remember us going skiing
Mm-hmm.
and you were snowboarding.
Yeah.
And as I recall, snowboarding was kind of new at that. Like it wasn't what it's become now, right? In
Yeah.
X Games and all that stuff. And I remember you on a rail, and I was like, "There's
Wow.
no dang way. There's no way." I know it had to be hard for you because you were Daredevil.
Yeah.
Wow.
I, and that was my youth. I started Barney when I was 19, and I had to grow up fast in terms of understanding the premise of being a professional. I'm working on the stage show, and that the consequence of injuring myself was pretty great. So I definitely had to turn it down
Wow.
a notch or two, but still enjoyed those outdoor activities.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I found some pictures. I got more pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these are actually before you. Because what year did you start?
I started the fall of '97.
Wow.
The fall of '97. Okay, so we had started the fall of '96, so a year before you. So I had pictures. This is the first Christmas party we had on the road.
Wow.
So the tree.
Mm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
Some of these faces, your jaw's gonna drop when you see this one.
Wow.
Nice. You got
Did you?
Lee, Ron,
Yeah.
Mike Hagan, then Pat with little Colin, man, and now he's all grown up, married. Dwayne, Creech.
Wow.
And you know, this is crazy because they're all big old adults now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's Vanessa Lauren.
Yeah.
And Courtney Cook.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, we talk about this a lot on Purple Roads, and even we did this on Purple Tails.
Which I react to and those react before. Continue on.
We were, you know, we were a family, and we also believed in giving back a lot. And you probably haven't seen this either, but this is a picture that all of us did. This was the year before you. You know some of these people.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
We went to a hospital and sang, did Christmas carols as ourselves to the kids. Which if anyone has ever heard me sing, that's not actually a holiday treat, but that's the kind of stuff that people did, and it was just so cool. I thought it was so special.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, being on the road, we became family. We really felt like family. I mean, I'm talking to you now like I talk to you every day. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's why it wasn't as hard, right? You know, you come home for break, but then you go back on the road. But you're going, obviously, you're doing something you love, but you're also going to see people that you really got to know. What was that like for you? When you get out there, you know no one, and of course, some of us had been out there before you got out there, and then how quickly everyone, you know, just embraces you and you're part of the family and all that stuff.
I would say just thinking on the top of my head, uh, Penny Wilson, she kind of took me under her wing, as well as everyone else, and I have a letter which I still have, that she wrote to my mom and my dad, just talking about how much she has enjoyed getting to know me, and just expressing that she's going to take care of me and on this tour. So I know you can attest to this. And she was kind of our adopted mom on tour that
Wow.
really helped emphasize the importance of that family unit and how that all kind of is encompassed by what Barney represents. And I just like you say, I just remember our holiday parties, just being very festive, but I'm intimate in the sense that it was time for us. It was a time for us to be able to spend together, enjoy our time with one another, and just get to know one another. And I think that that was one of the unique things about the stage show was that I, even though we had a job and I'd spend time during catering before in between shows, I we really made an emphasis to get to know one another outside of work, and being able to go experience those things in all the different cities we were in. I thoroughly enjoyed and am just grateful for my opportunities that I had to kind of participate in those Make-A-Wish events and just any opportunity to really kind of shed the light of what Barney represented and the love of Barney.
Well, you know,
Exactly.
I think those Secret Santas were so important and special and fun
Oh yeah.
because you are doing the same show every day, right? And it's a lot of work. There's a physical aspect to it. We're having fun, but we're also really working. And that part I remember being a lot of fun, right? Something shows up in your crate or something shows up in your, you know, wherever, on the bus, in your bunk, and, you know, those kind of things. And I can remember one of mine too. And I got all kinds of Viking stuff, which was just awesome. I knew I had a good Secret Santa there. And that stuff was fun. I think that was so important. That was fun because it is difficult to be away during the holidays.
Yeah.
So
No, I agree. Being able to do that stuff, I definitely made that holiday season memorable, and just you just kind of created more of a bond with the people you're with.
well, you and I have so much in common, so many things we've done together. And here's another one. I know this looks very familiar to you.
I
Wow.
got mine here.
Oh, look at that. He's trumping me. He's making me look bad. He's making me look bad. I have a few others, but I remember this one. We did this one together, and as I recall, this was the park, right? This was the float that was the park, right?
Yep. And then the facade of the caboose.
Yes, yes, and it's a great one to talk about because I can remember a lot of crazy things. I think for both of us, we'd already done one before that, right? So we were both veterans of Macy's Day Parade. I'm gonna tell you what I remember, and then I'm gonna ask you what you remember. One, I remember getting up early and being in the costume a long time. I remember it being wet. Was that the one that it had rained?
No, that year was when you were with Jill.
Okay, so we'll talk about that one in a second.
Yeah.
Okay, then what I remember about this one was that float was rocking, right? Because weren't we doing a move where the whole thing was? I think Jeff almost went up in the air.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we did I want to say it was the Colors song. We like colors, we like them a lot. We got colors. Yeah, we all had to kind of congregate to the center, and yeah, like you said, the float, it's on it's a trailer in essence. And it's got its own shocks. So
Wow.
It's like a trampoline. So,
Bounce, yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, I remember it rocking. What is going in your head? Because, and I don't know that people totally realize this, that you're out on the float for like 3 hours. You've been in the costume for like 4 hours. And then there's a sign saying that you're about to be on national TV, and get ready, right? Get ready. And for us, we just keep waving until we hear the music, and then we go right into choreography. Man, that's something, right? All of a sudden, millions of people are watching you.
Yep.
Kind of, what is in your head when you're going, oh, here we go. Let's lace it up.
I'll admit, the nerves were going. I was just primarily excited just because I'm in my mind. I felt confident in our routine, and I was more concerned as to making sure that I was hitting points because
Mm-hmm.
like we've discussed in the past and how your peripheral is limited, that you have to have good vantage points of what you're going to hold on to when you're transitioning to another spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that like as long as I got my hand on the handrail and from where I was starting to where I was going, I'm going down a couple steps. If I made it
Yes.
down onto that flat surface there on the main part, that everything would be okay. And
Mm-hmm.
like you say, you're on the float for like 2 3 hours,
Well.
and then we get into and and being on camera, and what we rehearsed, I felt like a reasonable period of time. These were like I 3 minute compilations of like 2 or 3 songs,
Mm-hmm.
and but when you are actually doing it live, it's like boom, like you did it and you're done. Like whoa, we're done. And we then proceed off,
Mm-hmm.
and like that whole 3 hours, I'm primarily I was encompassed or focused on what transpired in 2 minutes. But
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but I
it's
knew still a
so
lot.
true. It's so true. And then I always remember going, all right, Miss Penny's going to call us here in a minute. And we'll either find out if we still have a ticket to go back to Dallas or if I need to find an apartment in New York.
Wow.
Yes, and she was very keen on uh, telling us that there were certain steps we may have missed, or if we weren't, our timing was off. But I thought for most part every year, and we were always on point, just because, like you said, you're on national TV,
Mm-hmm.
and you gotta make it count. And yeah, no, that was stuff that I just thrived, lived for, to be able to do. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And that one was probably my favorite because we've been doing that for so long. The three of us were working on Barney and Friends at that time together. We knew each other so well.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, if if something happened, we knew how to improvise at that point, right? So you feel really we'd all done it before. So yeah, that rocking though, I remember that. I remember because what people don't know is that we're all Jeff. I remember him laughing.
Wow.
He's got that laugh that you just
Yeah.
can't forget. He's laughing and we're just rocking.
Wow.
All right, so let's talk about that other one that you're talking about, the one that it rained. And yeah, so Jill was Baby Bop on that one, right?
Yeah. My
Mm-hmm.
wife Jill played Baby Bob, and my counterpart, BJ, Charlie Cook, he played he was BJ on the
Mm-hmm.
Independence Day parade. And I remember trying to search for pictures. I know Joe has them, but I remember you, like one of the pictures, you all were in a car and just completely drenched. And
Wow.
I think that was from I don't know if it was from the rehearsal or if it was from the actual um, the parade.
Is it us in costumes or is it us out of costume?
It was you were out of costume.
That probably was rehearsal that well, or it
Mm-hmm.
could have been that morning.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I remember her mentioning how the costume really absorbed
Wow.
a lot of that rain, and that just the arms were relatively heavy just because the water all kind of circulates down to the hands.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think, and that was
I was just saying
90.
it was crazy. I can't even tell you how much Barney weighed. I
Oh
mean
yeah.
it was a huge sponge, and you're waving at people and you're throwing water on them. Like you're just throwing water, slinging it everywhere, and there's nowhere to go. Like there's no. I think and I know you'll agree with this 1,000% that our Wranglers are the greatest in the world
Yeah.
Wow.
at what they do. And they're just feeling horrible. They're trying to hold umbrellas and it's
Mm-hmm.
raining so hard the umbrella can't do it. And they try to take you in. There's nothing you can do. And I remember just thinking, when the dance number came up, don't slide off this float.
Yeah.
Like the deck is so slick, don't make a move and just slip. I mean, I'd go right in the street.
Wow.
Or they could have.
Well, I think, was that the year that you guys were on the float that had that kind of bridge? And
It had a slick deck. I remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I remember the deck was
Yeah.
so slick, and I was just kept thinking, don't do anything for your foot to slide, because if it slides, you're done. Like
You're
it's
done,
over.
yeah.
You're in the street. Right on national TV. Sweet.
I think that was 99.
All right.
Yeah, November 99.
Bam.
But it's experiences like those that really kind of demonstrate perseverance through understanding, like you're Barney, and regardless of weather conditions, you're still going to demonstrate and embrace the weather, and no different than what Barney would do, and I think that even in situations like that, it kind of makes those experiences a little bit more memorable, because you were able to withstand heavy rains and other years like heavy winds, just to really see the smiles on those kids' faces and you're passing by, and that to me, that was one of the things that just really made it so well worth it, was because even though you're not on the stage, and you're on a stage that's moving, and you've got hundreds of thousands of people, and all kind of aligned down Broadway, and all the different streets that I ventured through until we got up to Macy's, the store.
Wow.
So, yeah, that was a lot of fun.
What's the atmosphere like? Christmas in New York, Thanksgiving in New York, Christmas in New York.
It's definitely one of those bucket list type experiences that I would encourage anyone and everyone to go to, just because New York, you've got obviously big city, just very culturally diverse, and awesome restaurants, and that was to me just things that make me think of my first experiences is just like the smell. Granted, you got subway smells,
right?
But you're up in the streets, and you smell the hot dog stand, and you smell the pretzel stands, and you hear the cars, the taxis, just you got Times Square, the lights, and it's just and for me, it's like at the time being a 19-year-old, and from Fargo, North Dakota,
Wow.
and it's an experience unlike any other, because I've never been, at that time, that was kind of like my first really big city experience, to be around that kind of population of people, and then also to be able to enjoy going to a Broadway play or a musical, and enjoy just the food, going to and Stage Deli, and I'm trying to think of Star Diner, and there's so many different restaurants.
Star Diner was, yes, that was, wasn't it? Was it Star or was it Starlight?
I think it was the Star Diner.
Okay, I know which one we're talking about. It was awesome.
Yeah, right next to the theater that that what was that?
I know what you're talking about.
Oh man,
Ah.
They'll come to me.
See,
But
even the 19-year-old, gets a little older. His memory's a little off too. Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. And then we're gonna keep this going, because now we got Barney and Friends, and we did so much in the holidays with Barney and Friends. I want to talk about. It's really where I wanted to go with all this. What was your first video?
Barney's Christmas Star.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm right on it, sir. I'm right on it.
Yeah.
Right on it. Yeah. This is really special because it was mine too. This was the first thing that I fully did video wise for them, and I know you too. And this was such a special experience, and I want to talk about all of this, and then the other ones as well. I've mentioned it on this show before, but one of the craziest things about this is that we filmed this during 9/11.
Which I talked about during
And
the LGBT series, which he said earlier, and it was tragic events. Continue on.
when we when the country had a moment of silence, we were on that set, and I think it was Eric Norberg. We took a moment of silence for the country, and I'm in the costume, standing in fake snow, and it's an experience that I'll never forget with these amazing people that I love very much.
Though I was always 6 because when this tragic happens, and all of a sudden you get 9/11 happen, and just feels like it was bullcrap to me. So there you go. Continue on.
What had happened in the country, and it was such a surreal moment. And I know for you and I, this was our first really big thing, leaving the road and all the years we put in, and we've gone here.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, we do that, but then you got to get back to work.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like for you? And then I'll talk about it as well. Well, so that's September, right? We started that, I think, at the end of August rehearsals, and then we're filming in September, right? So you're in September having Christmas, running into snow and all of that good stuff. What's that experience like for you?
It was fun. I really enjoyed. I remember we filmed there in Las Colinas, and it was a pretty big, elaborate set, and like you say, a lot of fake snow, and I just remember Shauna and the other Wranglers. I don't know if they had like those sticky rollers.
Yeah.
They would always have to like I sticky roll off the fake snow off our hands and off our bodies because I know it's stick to us.
Right, when you're doing this, you're doing the next scene, and you're not supposed to have any snow on you, and BJ's got a lot of snow on you, right?
Yeah, yeah. I just remember how elaborate it was. There's just so much involved, and a lot of people involved, and a lot of cast members and such, which really made it fun because, and kind of going back to like the stage show, you were amongst a lot of people, like whether it was crew members or other cast members, and just it kind of felt at home being amongst a lot of other people, getting to know one another, and during our lunch break or in between filming. But and for me, I reflecting on the fact that was during 9/11, that I remember that day. I wasn't there in the morning. I came kind of mid-afternoon. My call time, I want to say, was around noon. But I do recall waking up, and a friend had called me because I remember he had mentioned that he was thinking I was in like Washington Dulles, but it was like Dallas area. But so he was kind of concerned, like if I was safe, then all right. And I told him, yeah, I'm perfectly fine. And I through that conversation, I was turning on the TV, and of course, I just seeing what everyone else was seeing, was just kind of in that state of surreal, like, wow, this is a new, and I don't want to say a new normal, but this is a new thing that we were having to adapt to understanding.
Yeah.
And I know that it was definitely a sensitive topic or sensitive thing to talk about to children, especially when you're filming on set. And I thought it was um, very smart and respectful of
Yes.
the crew, the producers, and them to um, not really divulge what was going on to kind of really alter a child's thought, especially since we had kids on set.
Right.
Yes.
And and we had a timeline to fulfill what we needed to do. So and we all really stuck together, and out of respect, like you said, Eric Norberg and demonstrating a moment of silence was definitely an honorable thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
It was, and I was there that morning, and when I walked off, because I only was working the morning that day, and I walked off when it was happening. And just like you said, they pulled me aside and said, "Do not tell the kids anything. We want their parents to do it. So we're gonna have their parents are coming in, and we're gonna let their parents do this." And you know, that was one of the greatest things about Barney. They were so good with everyone. I mean, it really was a family, and they were really smart, and they were really good at making sure how they handled situations.
But like I said, it's just 9/11. When 9/11 happened, I was only 6. And it was quiet time in Georgia, and it was like tragedy happened all of a sudden. And I didn't know anything about 9/11 until nearly 10 years later. You know, I just feels like 9/11 when it's all of a sudden this happened, you know? And just think, you know, it was tragedy. You know, just think like this way. In those years, Jim Lehrer, in this quiet home, awfully quiet day in the news hour, for example, Jim Lehrer was anchored the news desk on September 11, 2001, and he anchored the tribute thing for Jim Lehrer for the news hour, a special episode of the news hour. You know, I was watching that, and I'm like, okay, I haven't seen it until years later. I'm thinking, okay, why the hell not? Excuse my language, but it was cool, and it was amazed me to see why the news hour decided to do 9/11. But on the other hand, 9/11 decided it was 9/11. You know, dedicated to whatever it some of the people who lose their lives, yeah, and just things like that. You know, just think. I was busy making projects, and I don't know what to do. Well, now I was doing projects in the time. I was only 6 when 9/11 happened. And by the way, tragedy struck, and I was in elementary school, West Forest Elementary School, when this 9/11 tragedy happened. You know, and just think, it just blew my mind. And then years later, it was busy time for me. Continue on.
That when it comes to that snow, I remember it being hard to run it. I remember my legs as we were running and skipping and jumping in that stuff. And I remember it being almost like sand. And you're just like, oh, goodness gracious, my legs are burning.
Yeah, especially like you say, if you have no good footing, or if you feel like your feet are sliding, and it definitely makes for an interesting scenario. And so you're just kind of taking on the idea of like, well, I certainly don't want to fall, and there's a good likelihood with our big shoes on that if our shoes don't have that grasp, we could fall. But I remember that.
You know, I know another question that people are going to want to ask, and you and I can both answer this. This was like changing of the guard, right? I was coming in and taking over for David Joyner, who had been doing the video production for a long time. And Jeff Brooks had been doing the character of BJ for so long, and you had come in. And so the two tour guys, we've both been around for a long time with Barney. But, you know, the crew was getting to know us. Some of the cast was getting to know us. You know, I had been used to trying to not live up, but to learn what David was doing. You know, David was doing these big moves and things of that nature. What was it like for you to come in and know that you're taking over this role that has been so successful and someone's done it. I know you've done it on the road, but now here you are doing it on the TV show. Did you have any thought about that?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I definitely wanted to emulate the character with many of the same mannerisms as what Jeff Brooks would do. And he would, I know that when BJ was kind of stationary, and he would always kind of keep his arms moving. So that was kind of a trademark BJ type ism, and
Mm.
and so that was definitely something I always wanted to honor and pay respect to. I definitely to be able to say even now that I was able to play the role of BJ on a TV production, I is still mind-boggling and just an experience that I will always cherish. But like you say, amidst the kind of that changing of the guard and transitioning of people in those roles, and we always pay homage and respect to those that were there before us. And I've been fortunate to have befriended Jeff Brooks and to have worked with David Joyner, just consummate professionals, and it was a lot of fun to spend that time and to carry on that torch, that burning torch.
Absolutely, absolutely. So then we get to Barney and Friends, and it's funny how you say Christmas Star was elaborate because it was, but then I can remember us doing Christmas episodes on Barney and Friends that were very elaborate. Um, so I want to talk about, if you remember, when they snowed the park. You remember that with the caboose at the park? And I mean, my goodness gracious, it was absolutely spectacular. Bob LaValle and Elizabeth Belton and all of the art department, the boys and the girls, they did such an amazing job. I mean, it was so pretty. I remember just like not even wanting to step on anything because they'd have to go and rake that stuff up after you do things like that. So, what was your thought about seeing the park just absolutely gorgeous?
I kind of like what you're saying. It definitely gives perspective to all the fine detailed things that take place, because when you're having to match shots and like you say, I'm trying to avoid touching certain things because you don't want to mess anything up. In certain circumstances, you had to. It was kind of a part. It was a part of the act. And if snow was moved, and we redid it. Whether it was like Tim Thomason or Tim McGarity, and they'd be back out there. Looking at the shot prior, and be like, oh yeah, no, there's snow here on this part, and those are the little things that many people don't really realize. Requires such a large production crew, but in it, it's kind of it's a lot of hard work, but the end result, just the project, and looking at it like, wow, I was a part of that, and those songs that we sang, I really transcended that experience that I'm sure many children who watch those videos with their families just thoroughly enjoy, and I'm being able to kind of look at it in retrospect. I definitely was another one of those things that I was very thankful to be a part of.
Yeah, I also remember the same scenario. I remember us coming out of the caboose, and the same thing. That snow is so slick, and I think there's a couple times one of us, if not me, went da 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 down the stairs.
I'm sure both of us did, because those stairs, especially there with the caboose in the park, that was a common location for falls to take place.
Well, no question. I mean, we were like, you just go, right? You don't really,
Wow.
I mean, you think about it, but you can't look cautious when you're going down the stairs, right? Bernie wouldn't be doing that, or BJ or Baby Bob wouldn't be doing that. So you kind of just have to go down like you would, like you're comfortable there, and you know that you can do a second take if you boom, 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 boom. Now, you're gonna give me grief, and Jeff's gonna give me grief, and Jeff, goodness gracious, he loved giving us grief for stuff like that, and he'd be laughing, so I can still hear his laugh.
Yes. I know I remember, like, between takes, and we would be behind the facade of the caboose, and they would call us on and our countdown, and I remember him just, and he was obviously the one that would kind of like break the ice and help us kind of become more relaxed in the moment. He would hold on to my tail.
Wow.
And like, let go, go. or he would make a funny joke like right before we'd leave, so I would have to kind of keep my composure in costume while we're going through the acts. But those are still good fun memories.
Well, they are, and they are so important, as you say. You're working with kids, you're working with fake snow, you're working with all this stuff. There are times we're doing 8, 9, 10 takes,
Wow.
and you run out there, go down the stairs, someone slips, and we got to reset everything, right? They got to fix the snow, make sure we're okay, all that stuff, and you go out again, and then, something happens, and now we got to do it again. And so those little jokes and all that stuff he would do, he knew because he'd been around for so long, but I think it was just, I don't know, it was the best part about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think that we needed that amidst the number of takes that we would do, and I think that too it also helped us adapt more patience and understanding situations will come about, and that we have the opportunity to do that takeover again, and then like when seeing it in the final result, makes it all well worth it, just because you want to provide the best product for the kids that are watching.
I remember reading the Christmas script when I saw that you, Jeff, and Adam were going to be elves. And I thought, oh my goodness gracious, what in the world is going to happen here?
Wow.
How did that go about? Did they approach you about it before they wrote the scripts? How did that all come together?
Yeah, they, I remember, obviously for me, it was one of those quick, like, of course, yeah, I would love to do that. And being able to then, out of costume, portray a character that is actually myself, as an elf, but I'm utilizing my voice. I remember doing audio recordings with Joe Phillips, and doing the song that we did, and him like help. I don't know if it's like using some auto-tune track or some auto-tune software, being able to.
You needed to be auto-tuned?
Of course.
Wow.
I love it.
Didn't want a low tone elf. They wanted this high pitched, squeaky voice type elf, but that was just being able to experience that. Being in an audio booth, was quite fun, just because and you see our voice talent. That's their role. That's what they do. Being able to kind of take on that role was definitely a new experience for me. And I remember being on stage and going through rehearsal, and I remember Fred Holmes talking about line of sight, and how even though when we're in costume, it's just kind of a natural tendency for us to kind of align our costume so that we're in focus with the camera.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're out of costume, you really have to identify that your eyes need to be focused on something that develops this notion that it's a natural setting
Mm-hmm.
and that you're not looking at camera. And so I just remember quickly realizing, like, all right, don't look at camera, don't look at camera.
Wow.
So yeah, that was definitely a fun experience with both Jeff and Adam, and another one of those things that definitely I have to pay respect and homage to Lisa Albertson and the costume crew for putting together such amazing costumes.
Oh.
And that was a lot of fun just because I had something that was custom fitted to me, and
Mm-hmm.
I definitely felt like I was in Santa's workshop. I was an elf. I was ready to do this thing.
And that was with the great Lindy Davis too, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wow.
She was a joy to work with. Just her energy, just her sense of humor.
So, and I already kind of know the answer to this because I know you guys so well. But does it bother you being asked to play an elf? Does that bother you? Does any concern from any of you about that?
For me personally, no. And I think that this day and age, things have definitely changed for a lot of what they call kind of typecast roles. But I think that portraying an elf, no different than portraying any other kind of character, whether it be a leprechaun, like some fictitious kind of medieval type character. It's all a part of imagination, and I think that in large part the bigger thing that I would be more concerned about is my character being portrayed in a derogatory way, or is my character being portrayed in a manner that is focused on my stature and not the character itself. So I think that just out of respect, I definitely identify with the little people community that would rather defer not to be looked upon as people that typically are like just generally only play elves or only play leprechauns. We've definitely kind of broke that threshold of being able to be looked upon as real actors, people that can play the roles of any other character outside of a fictitious character.
Okay.
But I think the important thing is that that whatever character that is being portrayed or being played, is not deemed to be looked upon as offensive or to be made fun of. And I think that the great thing is that I see a positive shift in society, and especially in the entertainment field, kind of going away from what used to be a norm. And so and seeing how other people like in just magazine ads and commercials, you see people of different cultures, different ethnicities, stature, size, and being looked at in a more normal sense, that that's normal, that's reality. And I think that's important, especially for our youth, to understand that especially people with physical challenges, and people with who are amputees, being portrayed in different lights that can be an influence and inspiration to others that may have a similar condition.
Wow.
That's so well spoken. I love how you said that and addressed that. I know you guys. I've seen you all play Cupid. I've seen Jeff play Baby New Year. I mean, I've seen all of it. But I also knew that you guys knew that there was always respect,
Mm.
right? So
Yeah.
I think it's exactly what you're saying. I think that's just absolutely beautiful because we don't see it. You know, everyone that worked with you, no one saw that, and so
Mm-hmm.
I really took Jeff because Jeff did a lot of that early on Elves and Baby New Year's and stuff like that. And he's like, I'm an actor. It's a job,
Mm-hmm.
right? And exactly like you said, every role that he played it in, it wasn't being looked down, it wasn't being made fun of. Everyone was appreciative and respect. So I think that's really great how you said that. And it's really interesting. I had the chance also, obviously, to show my face when we did Land of Make Believe. I
Wow.
got to play Mr. Barnes,
Mm.
and that was such a crazy experience as well. I know for me it was weird. Like, you know, we're so used to being in those costumes and the world that's in, and then all of a sudden you're out on the set and you know you've got a makeup person and you know this whole thing, and then you got to jump back in the costume, and it's a whole different world, right? I mean, you got to go into this whole different world of focus and physicality and all those kind of things. What was it like for you? Because you guys were doing both in that episode as well. So what is it like all of a sudden, you know, Elf time's over and it's back to, to playing BJ?
I think, well, it's interesting in the sense that you become so accustomed to a character that you're portraying, and
Right.
whereas in essence, my this other role of being the elf, I'm in essence kind of being myself,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm this other character. So it's like I actually would prefer rather to be that 7-year-old dinosaur than myself, and um, but yet still the experience was awesome. But you do have that creature comfort of being incognito and just going out and just and being larger than ever because when you're in a costume you gotta
Mm-hmm.
amplify just the character that much more.
Yeah.
And so I it definitely is a comfort to be in the costume, even though it does have its physical challenges.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, and isn't it funny? It was probably harder to play the elf than it is to play BJ, right? I mean,
Yeah.
for me, I definitely say that playing Mr. Barnes because you got all these cameras and like you said, you can't look at the camera, all that stuff going on, much more difficult than just getting back in because I'm so used to doing bell kicks and running around in the heat and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Same for you?
oh, totally. And yeah, like you say, you're I'm it's more of a mental focus on similar to like what a puppeteer does. And you're manipulating you're manipulating hand muscles and like being in a full body costume, like you're manipulating neck muscles and gestures to really emphasize a thought or a feeling, even though your expressions are limited. You are able to demonstrate certain expressions in different manners through body language.
Exactly.
And I think having that kind of frame of mind, and I'm sure you could probably relate. I really adapted to that. Like it became more kind of subconscious of me to act in that manner. Whereas when I'm actually having to show kind like just facial expressions and a lot of that really plays on timing and just the element of surprise and like whoa hey it definitely you have to kind of shift your thought when you're not in costume and you're actually mimicking those expressions with and as yourself. So
Do you have a favorite moment in the holidays filming, whether it's Macy's or tour or Barton and Friends?
I would say, I mean, I just think the experience of doing the Macy's Day Parade was pretty special, just because I mean, you're out there, and I'm able to talk with my mom and my dad, and I remember the first parade I did in '97, and I told, and my mom's like, can you make a gesture to or sign? So I just remember, like, I was going to give a salute and a blow kiss, and
Wow.
I remember, like, after that all was completed and got on the plane and flew back to Fargo, it was like my mom just expressed, like, I saw you, you gave me the salute and you blew the kiss, and it was
Bam.
one of moments like those that I was kind of like, and anticipating, I just to know that, like, my mom saw me on TV. It was like, I'm and just obviously being in New York,
Mm-hmm.
and just having those experiences during that time of season was quite special. So they're all unique in their own ways.
Yeah, I will tell you, and that's just beautiful. That's beautiful. I will tell you, probably my favorite. It would be Macy's as well, but it would be the night before.
Mm-hmm.
The rehearsals,
Oh yeah.
to me, was the coolest thing one of the coolest things I've ever done in my 22 years at Barney.
Wow.
Is being on the street in front of Macy's on a Wednesday night with all the action of the city going on and the lights, and of course no one knows who you are,
Yeah.
right? So they're all wondering, because we're out of costumes, and we're just kind of this is for the cameras, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing a rehearsal for the cameras, and the energy was just unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
I just will never forget that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Definitely seen. I just think back on all the spotlights that they have to help kind of just illuminate that space, even though it's during the daytime. At nighttime, it was just that much more intense. But I definitely rehearsals. I remember going out to see the balloon, having them do the inflating of the balloons.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot of fun, and to see as well, because you don't realize how big those balloons get until you're like right up close to them. And then I just remember going out, and when I want to say Sloan was with us, and I remember having dinner with Sloan and all of us that were a part of that, and I guess the director, or the lead person of the Macy's Day Parade. That was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sloan's good friend Steve Krause, who
Yes.
he's got a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Being out there with him too. He's a part of Flutterworks, or that did our confetti for the stage show tour.
Yes.
Yeah.
He definitely kind of gave me a better perspective of New York, and like where certain things are and such. So no, those are good times.
Well, Kyle, I can't thank you enough. It's always so good to see you, but it's awesome hearing your memories and sharing with everyone.
Likewise, thank you for having me, and it's always a joy to be able to reminisce about the good times and those experiences, and to refresh my memory. I'll still need to go back and think about what musical it was, or a theater that was adjacent to Star Diner.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are great times.
And knowing Kyle, he will. I'll get a text message from him about that. He has also sent so many cool pictures, what we will put on this episode and out on promotion. So get ready to see some really cool pictures as well.
Mm-hmm.
Have a wonderful time with your family. Please say hello to everyone. Say hello to Jill.
Likewise.
And
Ryan, Emery.
well, no, I was just going to say, I saw the picture of you and Eli at the game.
Oh yeah, Mavericks
and Timberwolves.
Timberwolves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you go on YouTube, you can see a picture of Kyle and I years before on YouTube. You remember that?
Oh
We were
yeah.
at the Mavericks game, and one of the guys, one of the cameramen from Barney, shot it, and it's out on YouTube. You can see us
Yeah.
game. And then that's what I was thinking when I saw that picture last night. I was like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
It's full story. Eli looks just like he's just like Kyle. And he's so sweet.
You remember when we were at the Target Center and saw KG make that last second shot?
Oh yeah.
When we were, that was the game before we started performing at that venue. To me that was probably by far my most favorite. One of my most favorite sports experiences.
Wow.
Yeah, it was incredible. Boy, we could have an episode on Minnesota sports and all those experiences. That was amazing. And I've got pictures of my brother got to meet Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, or Jimmy Jam was there.
Wow.
It was cool too. Minnesota was unbelievable. Yeah, and Rich Gannon. I've got a picture with Rich Gannon. Absolutely, I do.
Wow.
Yes, Kyle and I can go off into the rabbit hole on sports so easy. So there might be a whole episode about that.
If you watch this,
But Kyle, man,
if you watch this, Billy, it's for you. 4 years. See you on.
so much. Have a wonderful time. Happy holidays, and we will definitely see you soon.
Much love.
And thank you so much for watching Purple Roads. It's been such a great year. We appreciate you watching the show. This will be the last one for this year, but we've got some great ones coming in 2022. So thank you so much, and we'll see you in 2022. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and remember to keep your eyes, ears, and your heart open, and you'll find your Purple Road. We'll see you next year.
That was Purple Road, episode 89. Oh my god. The Christmassy episode was amazing. Although Christmas already passed, so there you go. Although last year was 2022, as I'm taping this LJPCBM episode, we finally made the reaction videos of Purple Road episode number 90. So we're gonna do just at least 10 more episodes of Purple Roads for the remainder until we get to Dave 3000's thing. Because right after this, I'm gonna react to Bonzi's Buddy Shorts and Lose Cool Guy content, because he had never done a break, and for Lose Cool Guy content, just reciting SpongeBob episodes, and one of those videos, by the way, is going to be happening this year, so be look up for that. That was LJPCBM episode number 1156. Hope you enjoy it. Stay tuned for the next one. It's going to be Purple Roads Podcast episode 90. It's going to be about my reaction video to the interview for Purple Roads Podcast episode 90, which is who happens. Till next time, so Joseph Bob, so baby, good words you guys, guys, pursue, till it's out. See ya.
Given unto me this life I'll never take for granted, and given all the time I failed to really understand it, I never sought to meet the maker of reality, the one who gave the life that which is always happening, but I tried all the time. I ask, why me? Why was I the one to see things as I do under the moonlight and the sun? Perception is the question, and the giver holds the key.